as we get together, I said this last night to the group that we met with in Manchester, and we said, because we're here to study the Word of God, we need to be, as the book of Acts says, they said whatever was said by the Apostle Paul, the scripture says that they were considered to be even noble than the Thessalonians, because they went home and they checked the stuff out, they looked at it. And so that's what we need to be. We need to, whatever it is when we get together for a time of study, to not be bashful, to ask a question, to get clarity on whatever it is that one, not just me, anywhere we go. If there's a Bible study midweek, we should be given an opportunity to say, pastor or teacher or brother or sister, I don't understand that. Because the worst thing that can happen is you can walk out of here with an assumption that's not true. You walk out with an assumption and it does injustice for both the person who's hearing it and the person who's teaching it. And then you walk away and you say, this person is incorrect. But meanwhile, you are incorrect or misunderstanding something. And then there's conflict and then the person never sees the other person. And so let's remember that as wherever we go, that we should be able to feel free to interject, to be as Jesus did himself when he went to the synagogue and the people began to debate there and they began to question him. We should be the very same way and unafraid, because we've grown up with different ideas and we want to get clarity in what's being said. And Lord knows I don't know the answer for everything, but together we can search the scriptures and use our iPads and apples and cherries and bananas and find what the meaning is. So I want to talk about a topic tonight that's so basic that it's mind-boggling. And the topic I want to talk about today is the Bible. The Bible, what we have in our hands tonight. The Bible. That's our topic. The Bible. So the question that we ask, or we can ask today, what is the Bible? What is the Bible? What do we call the Bible?
The Old and New Testament.
Both Old and New Testament. I like this terminology. Right away we started real good. We got the Old and we have the New. So right away we have this thing called the vision. That's what we have. We have division now. We have something that's old and we have something that's new. When you hear about the Old Testament, what comes to your mind? What do we think of when we hear Old Testament?
Prophets.
Prophets is one. We hear about prophets. We'll put just a P for prophets. We hear about prophets.
Before Jesus.
Before Jesus we have BC. Or before Christ, before Jesus, we'll put that. BC be better. Before Christ.
The law.
The law.
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 Yeah.
Very good.
The law given to the Israelites.
Law given. Exactly, the law that was given. And what do we know when we hear this word called law? What comes to our mind? When you hear the word law, what comes to your mind?
10 Commandments.
10 Commandments is one thing. Okay, you have the 10 Commandments.
Moses.
Moses we have. We have Moses. But what else do we think about when you hear this word law? 10 Commandments, Moses. Do you ever think about this in the negative?
Yeah.
It sounds like
Consequence.
earning God's favor, that kind of thing, and you cannot restrictions and a high burden.
Yes, this thing here has burdens. There's burdens in laws. I don't like laws. I don't like somebody telling me to do anything. Right away, if you tell me to do something, I get very tight. I don't like that. And here we are. We just brought up the Bible, the word Bible, and right away we've got old and new. We've got this separation of these two testaments called the Old Testament, New Testament. Something that's passé. We got stories of prophets. We have before Christ. Then we got it right away. We got into the law and how it was given and how the law could be a burden. But yet we understand the law as being 10 commandments. And then we understand the 10 commandments in relationship to this man by the name of Moses that we read about. But there's so much here. There's a lot of stuff here. And so I want us to kind of look at this thing called the Old. Let's look at this first. Let's take let's take a little bit at a time and see how long this takes tonight. Let's see what kind of discussion we can get into tonight. Right away, when we hear the Bible, we come across this part of the Bible, the very first book, and we call it the Old Testament. Very easy to say, Old Testament. Right away when you hear old, you think of something that is of no use anymore. I don't like anything old, like computers. You don't have any Dell computers here, I notice. You've gotten rid of them. You don't have those fat ones anymore. You got rid of them. They're old. You don't even have, I mean, this guy just has an iPad, right? That's
It's just Kindle.
a Kindle. He has a Kindle. I mean, Kindle to me is what you use to start a fire, kindling. You know, that's... But everything is so lightweight and so small. I don't even have that. I have this, my children laugh at me. I have this thing called, it's a notebook. They look at it and they say, are you kidding me? Get rid of this thing.
It's a netbook.
It's a netbook. This is probably about 10 of those, the weight of it itself now. I mean, it's Old Testament. Then we have the other part called the New Testament. New Testament being more current, but it's better. We like the ideas. We like new things. We like new cars. We like new clothes. But when we think of the Old Testament, and you guys know this, what do we think about? What is the Hebrew for this new thing called the Old Testament? When we think about it, we come across this word that the Jews use, and it's called Torah. T-O-R-A-H. Torah would be the first 5 books, as you guys know. The 5 books. Or the 5 books that Moses wrote. Or the Pentateuch is one of the words that it's called. So we got to figure out, if this is the beginning, if this is the first, we got to figure out, how did we get from here to what we have over here? The Bible. Now the Bible, the word the Bible is comes from the Greek word biblos, la biblas. And actually, biblas, it's plural, Bibles, or books, it actually is. As time went ahead and moved forward, the vernacular changed, and it came into just one book called the Bible. But actually the Bible is more than one book. It's a variation of several books that are covered in there. But prior, after this word Torah came up, there's another word that came out of it. We know that the Greeks came and took charge. You know that? You ever heard of the Greeks? The Greeks always like to come in and take charge. And so this word called Torah changed. It changed into this word called nomos. Does anybody know what nomos is?
Sounds like name.
Law.
Nomos?
Means law.
No, it doesn't. It means, nomos means law and order. It means law and order, or the study of nature. Study of nature. There's a study of nature. That's what law is. That's what the Greeks took this thing called Torah. They took Torah, they understood it as the 5 books of Moses, and to best explain it, they called it the study of nature, or nomos, or law and order. There's an order to things. There is an order to the universe. There's a study of nature and universe. The moon is set in a certain way. The sun is positioned somewhere, and the earth rotates. Am I correct? Rotates around the sun. Am I correct? So there's an order. There's a planetary order on the way things are. So that's nature. So that's what they consider Torah, or nomos. That's where it came from. There's a way that things should go. And it's almost similar to what Torah is. There's a way that things should go. There's an instruction on how things to go. So for them, the best idea for them is to look at it and to translate it to nomos. So now you have the study of nature, or law and order. There's a way things should go and an order in the way things to go. Now, we got the good Italians. They came along. We love the Italians. They came here with pasta, so great for pasta. And they came along and they overtook the Greeks, and they said, you know what? We have another word in Latin for this, and I don't know if you know it, but what would you think it would be? But it would be what we call lex. Lex is coming from the Septuagint. Also, you understand that. Speaking about the 70 Jewish scholars, but lex, the greatest translation for this word called lex or lexicon, is this word now that you know as what? Law. So when you have the lex, you have the law. So today, whenever we hear of the Bible or the first 5 books, we don't call it Torah, we call it now the what? The law. So we went from, we see law is what we have, which came from lex, which came from nomos, it came from Torah. How in the world did this happen? What does Torah mean? Does anyone know what Torah means? Instructions is a perfect word. Instructions is great. In Hebrew, this word, Torah, it's the word Torah. Torah comes from another word. This is a resh, and this is a hey. Let me write it in the middle here so you can see it. It comes from this word here called yara. Yod resh hey. Yara. Y-A-R-A. Yara. This is the word Torah. Somebody scream. Torah, T-O-R-A-H. Torah, and this is where it comes from. It comes from this word called yara. And now yara, what does yara mean?
Prawns. Prawns.
Yara means to point, to instruct, as he said. So yara means to point. To point, to instruct. It's like your son, when he comes and he was growing up, you pointed out to him and you said, son, do not put your hand in that fire. How many think that's a good idea, not to put your hand in a fire? That's a great idea. Don't touch the socket. You're pointing things out. You're instructing him what to do and what not to do. That's what yara, from Torah, that's what it means. So let's see what the scripture says in regards to this. Please, let's turn to the book of Genesis, please. And let's start off with Genesis chapter 46, verse 28. Let's start off with that and see where this word yara is being used, which is also the root of the word Torah, which we come today with instructions, which we get this word called law. And how did we end up with that? 46 verse 28. Please, someone read that.
And he sent Judah before him unto Joseph, to direct his face unto Goshen, and they came into the land of Goshen.
And now this is the story about Joseph and Jacob. This is the story. And now Jacob is sending someone ahead of him to Joseph to get directions. Am I correct? Joseph is setting aside an area for his father and his people to live. Because remember, Joseph is now what? The governor, only second unto Pharaoh, in charge of all of Egypt. Am I correct? We understand that part, right? And so now, Judah has been sent by Jacob, his father, to get directions, to point him, how do I get there? How is it that I get there? What is the way to get there? How do we get to this land of Goshen? Am I correct? So we want to point this out. Now remember, yara means to what? To point, to instruct. And this is where this verse is being used. This is yada, the root word of Torah. Torah means instructions. Torah is the first 5 books we know of what we call the Old Testament, or the instructions that came from Mount Sinai. I want you guys to think what we're doing here, what we're discussing here. And anytime, please feel free to interject. And now I want us to go to Genesis chapter 42, please. Chapter 42, verse 36 to 38. Genesis chapter 42, which is the very first Bereshit, is the name of this book. In the beginning, 42, verse 36 through 38. Someone please, por favor, which is Spanish, so please read that.
And Jacob their father said unto them, Me have ye bereaved of my children. Joseph is not, and Simeon is not, and ye will take Benjamin away. All these things are against me. And Reuben spake unto his father, saying, Slay my 2 sons, if I bring him not to thee. Deliver him into my hand, and I will bring him to thee again. And he said, My son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is left alone. If mischief befall him by the way in which ye go, then shall ye bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave.
Thank you. That's good. Thank you, my dear sister. Let's understand what's going on here. This is a story of Reuben. Am I correct? And what is Reuben wanting to do? If anybody remembers the story here.
He wants to take Benjamin to Joseph.
Because why? There's a lack of... What's lacking? They want to bring his son because they want...
To prove that there's one more.
Right, there's one more. Because they don't know that Joseph is their brother.
Yes.
And they're also very what? Hungry.
Hungry.
They need to eat. If we don't eat, we're going to die. So Barack Obama's not alive yet. So they're going to die if they don't eat. It's a joke I just made. So Benjamin is making a deal with his father, Jacob. Correct? Reuben is making making an agreement or trying to prove something to his father. Okay, Reuben. Reuben is what in the order of sons to Jacob? Firstborn son. Jacob has 12 sons, correct? His natural born son, or that came from the woman he loved, are both Joseph and Benjamin. In Jacob's mind, Joseph, we know, is gone. Benjamin is his only one left. So he's brokenhearted. Reuben is telling Jacob, if anything happens to Benjamin when I bring him down to meet this so-called king, if anything happens to him, what is he telling Jacob to do?
Kill my 2 sons.
Kill my sons. Or kill your grandsons. This is what the deal he's making to him. The firstborn son is saying, hey, this is what I want you to do. If I don't bring him back, take these 2 boys and kill them. Torah, the root word is yada, to point, to show. That's what's going on. Now I want you to see Genesis chapter 43, please. Verses 8 through 9.
Then Judah said to Israel his father, Send the lad with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and you, and also our little ones. I myself will be surety for him. For my hand you shall require him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, let me bear the blame forever. For if he had not lingered, surely by now we would have returned the second time.
Yada. Now we're reading a story about another man here. Who are we reading about now? Judah. Judah is what son?
Second.
No, number 4. He's the fourth born son of Jacob. What is the difference between what Judah says and what Reuben says in dealing with Benjamin? There's a difference.
Judah is offering his own lamb. Reuben is offering his son.
So the accountability lies on Judah himself. Now, what tribe does Jesus come from?
Judah.
That's his lineage. Jesus never puts up anyone else but takes the responsibility on his own to carry the burden for all of mankind. Because the scripture says that if one man sinned, that all men should die. Am I correct? This is right. But then Jesus comes along and he takes on the responsibility upon himself when we should have died. So, we read earlier in Genesis 46 verse 28, I'm sending Judah to find out how to get there, to show us the way, to point the way to get to Goshen. Yada, I want him to point this out. Now that's the reason why we read the differences of what Reuben is pointing out and what Judah is pointing out. Reuben is putting the finger and pointing out through his sons, that is the way to get away if anything happens. And meanwhile, Judah points to himself, indicating if anything happens, everything lies on me. This is instruction. That's what he's doing. He's instructing us. And what a great person to use, but Judah himself, to show him how to point out the way, to get the proper instructions. He's using the right guy to show how to get to a certain place. What is the lesson that Judah is showing us here? What is it that he's pointing us out about? What is it that he's pointing to? When it comes to life and life issues, what is Judah pointing to?
Take accountability, self-accountability.
Self-accountability. And that not only that, but he's also revealing that it is more important for the other person than myself. To put someone else ahead, please.
So it goes a little bit against the conversation that I just wanted, and I checked. Reuben, just by the way, Reuben wanted to save Joseph and take him out of the well again, but it was Judah who said, let's sell him to these people. So he's sort of trying to make amends, I guess.
Something turns, something happens. There's a turn in his life.
Yeah.
A genuine turn that's revealed in what Judah does later on by offering himself. Now that's what you call repentance.
Yes.
Not just saying something, but also acting on something. That's exactly right. Thank you for that's exactly right. This whole thing about what are we pointing? What is it that is being instructed? Yara. This word, part of Torah. That's the root word, yara, to point. And that's what Judah is doing here. He's pointing out, it is better for me to sacrifice myself for the sake of others. That's what it is. It's always about offerings. It's always about caring for someone else. Oh, I love that song. That's a great song. There's another word that is in this word called Torah, yara. I want you to see it right here. It is this word right here. This is the word Tor. T-O-R. That's my wife's favorite song. I don't know whether you know. No, please. Because I can dance that. I want you to see this word Tor being used. Now remember now, we're just talking about the very first thing that's part of the Bible, what Torah is. Please, let's turn to Genesis 15 verse 9. I want you to see what Torah is. Genesis 15 verse 9. So this is part of it also. Torah is now, this is the word Torah. Of Torah. We've already followed Yara. Now we're finding, this is Yara over here. And now we're seeing Torah.
So he said to him, bring me a 3-year-old heifer, a 3-year-old female goat, a 3-year-old ram, and a turtle dove, and an young pigeon.
You just saw the word Tor of the word Torah And Tor is called a Turtle, turtle dove. That's Tor. A turtle dove. That's what a Tor is. Something that is used according to Genesis 15 as a sacrifice, correct? This is an offering. This is what this is. I want you to see it also in Leviticus chapter 12, verse 6. Please, someone read. Leviticus 12, verse 6.
And when the days of her purifying are fulfilled, for a son or for a daughter, he shall bring a lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, and a young pigeon, and a turtle dove for a sin offering, unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, unto the priest.
So you just seen the word Tor again, used again as a sin offering, correct? This turtle dove is being offered as a sin offering. That's what this Tor is of Torah. So we're seeing a turtle dove along with pointing something out or instructions. There's something that's being spoken about here in this instructions. Please, let's go to the book of Esther. Let's go to the book of Esther.
What was the reference in Leviticus?
12:6.
We'll go to the book of Esther, please. Chapter, and this is actually, if you have a King James, it probably even reads even a little bit better here, maybe. Or maybe not. 2:12 is
Esther what?
Esther chapter 2, verse 12. Because I want you to see this word Tor. It is in, I don't know if you have a concordance in yours. 8449 is the word Tor, if you have a concordance. 8449. 8449. 8449 is the number.
Strong's.
And you may, Strong's may give you some percentage.
49, right?
Yeah, 8449. And it's going to probably tell you to turn, or to even be used as a something in a circular motion, go, terms of endearment. But please, I want someone to read as he's looking at that, Esther chapter 2, verse 12.
Now when every maid's turn was come to go into King Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months, according to the manner of the women. For so were the days of their purifications accomplished, to wit, 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with the things for the purifying of the women.
This is a nice beauty treatment here. You know, a woman is getting really taken care of here. Why is she doing that? Because verse 12 says, in the word in NIV says, before a girl's turn. That's the word Tor, turn in Esther. T-U-R-N. Am I correct?
Yeah.
It's turn. That's the word Tor, to turn or to be around, to be in a circle, like an earring or a necklace or strings of pearl. It's also like.
You said 8449? I see 8447.
And it gives you another 8447.
8447 is Torah.
Oh, it's Tor, and it tells you. Well, it starts from there, and it should be the root of 8447.
Circular, plate, turn, succession, order. Yeah.
Some of them even gives you maybe as a string of pearls. I
Right.
think.
The
Am I
string of
correct?
pearls or gold or silver birds.
Does any of these girls have string of pearls on them? No?
No.
A string of pearls going around. Am I correct? If you wear a string of pearls, you wear them around your neck or you wear them around your wrist. Am I correct? This is what Tor is. It's something that encircles. That's what Tor is. So when you read Esther chapter 2 verse 12, it says, before a girl's turn came to go into King Xerxes. Now listen, when you read that, what does it sound like to you before a girl's turn? Does it seem like women that are going to get ready to, before you go and before I go, we got to get ready? It's like the next girl that comes up, your turn, your turn.
It reminded me also of like a merry-go-round. Turn is like the motion of turning, but also get your turn and then the person's turn.
He's on fire, this guy. I don't know whether or not you realize what he just did. But he's correct. In a carousel or a merry-go-round, to go around something. May I use you for a demonstration? I'll use him for a demonstration. Please, just stand right here. You just stand right there, my brother. Now watch what I do. Watch what I do. What am I doing?
Going around.
I'm going around him, or I'm going turns. I'm turning around him. Am I correct? This is what I'm doing. I'm turning around him. I'm like a string of pearls. I'm a turtle dove. I'm Tor. That's what I'm doing. Thank you. Now let me ask you guys a question here. How many of you ever seen a Jewish wedding? No one's ever seen a Jewish wedding? Wow, I feel so bad for you.
I want someone to invite me. Go and eat.
You need to be invited. How many of you ever watched the movie called Fiddler on the Roof? No one ever watched the movie Fiddler on the Roof?
It's such a long time.
It's such a long time with that guy, that gentleman that played Tevye on there. It was a great show. But in a Jewish wedding, a ceremony, the man and the woman sit underneath what is called a chuppah. It's nothing more but a prayer shawl. That's what it is. And when the man sits there, he goes and gets his bride and brings his bride to the chuppah. Part of the ceremony is that he stands there and she goes around him 7 times. She encircles him 7 times. She turns around him 7 times. Now, listen to the story here of this Esther here. Listen to the story of what Esther is doing here in chapter 2, verse 12. Verse 12. Listen to what it says. Before she what? A girl's turn, before she goes around King Xerxes, it says she has to go through a what? A beauty treatment. Am I correct?
So this is not the turn which you wait for other people to, not like one after another. This is the turn around the king.
She's going around the king, but before she can go around the king, look what it says that she has to do. What must she do?
Purify herself.
She's got to be clean. She's got to be purified. Am I correct? It says right here, NIV says, she had to complete what? 12 months of beauty treatments prescribed for the women. 6 months worth with oil, myrrh, and 6 months with perfume and cosmetics. This is an amazing story, guys. I don't know whether or not you see this, but it's talking about salvation. Because who is it that goes around the husband 7 times? The who? The bride. So the question is then, who is the bride today? You, myself, himself. We are the bride. Who is the husband? Jesus himself is the husband. Am I correct? So then, before we are getting ready to get married and to consummate this marriage, what must we do as a church?
Must be sanctified.
How do we get sanctified? We need to be what?
Wash clean of with His blood.
We got to get some ointment on us. We got to get some oil on us. We got to get bathed. This is what it's saying right here. And then we walk 7 times around. This is the marriage. This is what's going on here. This is part of what we call Torah. That's Torah. This is encircling around to receive the instructions. That's what's going on. That's Yara. That's Torah. Yara. That's what Torah means. That's what we call the Old Testament. You're circling around the man that you're married because there's going to be instructions that are going to be given. What are the instructions? Every woman and man, before they are married, they must sign what is called a ketubah. We call it a what? Marriage contract. The Americans or the rich Americans call it something else. It's called
Prenuptial.
a prenup. A prenup. If anything happens, you have to leave the marriage broke and destitute. No, that's not. That's an American prenup. But the prenup in the mind of a Jew says this: my darling, I'm going to provide for you. I'm going to give you a home. I'm going to make sure that you eat 3 times a day. You have a luxury car. That the sun of South Africa hits on the home every day at about 9 a.m. and stops at 12 so you can go outside and not get burned. And then she has to agree and say, I agree and believe everything you say, and I will accept all that you will do for me. So that's the agreement. I sign it, and then not only that, I say this: if by any chance I find out that you don't like me anymore and that you want to leave me for another man or someone else, this is what I will do. I will continue to provide for you until you finally realize that I love you and I care for you, and I always will still provide for you, even when you cheat on me. I sign my name, she signs her name on the ketubah. This is the story of Hosea and Gomer. Hosea fools around, Gomer fools around with some other men, but meanwhile Hosea still what? Provides the monies and the finances for her. This is what Yara and Torah is, Torah. This is what turtle dove is. It's used as something that's circled. It's also used as a term of endearment. It's also used on behalf of a woman. Please go to the Song of Songs. If you have King James, this is probably the best one. Or Song of Solomon is also another name for it. Chapter 1, verses 10 through 11. The Song of Songs, you probably have it on SOS maybe, or the Song of Solomon, some of you have it. But King James actually is the best writing in this sense. NIV doesn't really do it too well. But if you don't have it, that's okay. Song of Songs, chapter 1, verses 10 and 11.
Thy cheeks are comely with rows of jewels, thy neck with chains of gold. He will make thee borders of gold with studs of silver. While the king sitteth at his table, my spikenard sendeth forth the smell thereof. A bundle of myrrh is my well-beloved unto me. He shall lie all night betwixt my breasts. My beloved is unto me as a cluster of camphor in the vineyards of En-gedi.
Thank you, my dear sister. This is something that's really a romantic thing that's going on here. This is what he's speaking about. This is Torah, of Torah. Please, let's go to chapter 2, verse 12. Listen to how he speaks in regards to a woman of Torah. Listen to what he says. Someone read verse 12, chapter 2, verse 12.
The flowers appear on the earth, the time of the singing of birds is come, and the voice of the turtle is heard in our land.
This is a beautiful, this has something to do with a woman. This is terms of endearment to a woman. I don't know if do you have it in King James? Can you pull up King James?
This is King James.
This is King James.
That was a King James. That's a beautiful reading in there. Please, now I want you to see what Torah is in regards to a people. In the book of Psalms, chapter 74, verse 19. Please, read 74, the book of Psalms, 74, verse 19.
Do not hand over the life of your dove to wild beasts. Do not forget the lives of your afflicted people forever. I'm reading NIV. Do you want me to read?
Yeah, read King James, please.
O deliver not the soul of thy turtle dove unto the multitude of the wicked. Forget not the congregation of thy poor forever.
Wow. A turtle dove is used for a sin offering. And yet he says here in Psalms, he speaks about people in relationship as a turtle dove. Don't let them get eaten by any beast. Am I correct? Don't let them get hurt. Don't let them get damaged. Don't let nothing happen to them. That's a term of endearment. This is from the word Torah. 2 words making up 1 word. Torah. We always just think of it meaning of the first 5 books of Moses. But it's more than that. It's telling you a story when you hear Torah. What's the story that we learn? Yadas, to point something out. to instruct, to show. That's what you do, you instruct. You stand next to your son and your daughter and you watch how they do something and you instruct them. And hopefully that they can finally hit the mark. Because laws are broken. How many, I know nobody in this room ever did this, but how many do you know of anyone that drove like at 3 o'clock in the morning in their car and they came up to a red light? And when they got to the red light, they looked left, they looked right, they looked behind them, and they went through the red light. I know no one's ever done this here.
In India.
No one here. No one's
India.
ever done that here. No.
In India we've done.
You do it in India.
Do it even here.
In
I
India,
have not done it here.
no. But yet,
Flashing red light.
the flashing one you went through,
Yeah, flashing red light. You can stop.
It's supposed
No,
to.
that's okay.
but a solid one.
That's how you drive.
That's how everyone dies. That's how he dries.
That's how they're driving in China. I saw that.
Yeah,
The red
Chennai-
light is just as like a suggestion. Just like there's no laws in China. Just like it's an instruction to stop.
But
People
the
just carry
instruction
on.
is that you took, if you went to a motor vehicle class, if you took it, is to stop at the red light and allow the people who have the green to go through. Now, if you break it, that's up to you or not, but we've gave you the instructions already. There's a consequence to it. The consequence is there may be a police officer hiding around the corner who will capture you, or, God forbid, a car all of a sudden does drive through and ends up killing you both. Those are the consequences. This is what happens. This is what instructions are. Coming aside, I want to see what you do. I want to make that you don't do it. Yara Torah. Tor, we know, is turtle dove. To turn around. To be beloved. To circle somebody around like a husband, like a wife circles a husband. Please, let's open this up for discussion. Let's see what Torah is. What do we think Torah is?
So what is like actual the meaning of Torah is turn, is it? Meaning of Torah.
Torah, the meaning of Torah itself, it's instructions.
Right.
To be instructed.
Right.
But Hebrew, if a word ends in this letter here is called a hey. There's certain rules, grammatical rules, but when it ends in a hey, it is feminine. Torah is feminine. It's a female word, so lady. Because it's mothers that teach. She sat her son on her lap when he was a lot smaller. She don't do it now. He's too big. But when he was little, you sat him on your lap and you taught him how to say thank you, please, you're welcome. Don't grab, don't hit, don't fight. Put that back, that's not yours. That's what she taught you.
No,
No?
that's Ami's.
Oh, mother, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, that's what you taught her. Don't fight, don't kick, don't bite. Same thing.
She's still doing it.
She's still doing it.
That's right.
I know I said before that since my eyes been opened up with the study we've been coming to, that we look at the Old Testament in a new way. But it's almost feel like it's an insult to God. It's like the father who puts the child on his lap and teaches him lovingly what to do, and now we say this is the law. It's like ungrateful, almost. Not acknowledging God's love behind that, and saying He's harsh and these are the things you have to do, and these are things you're not allowed to do. So, what sort of.
I think I know what you're also trying to say is God is a loving God.
Yes, he is.
So the instructions He's giving us, He wants us to prevent us from the consequences of wrong decisions we're making.
Yes.
That's what I'm reading in this.
Yes, absolutely.
Is that
Absolutely. How do you instruct your son? How do you instruct your son? He's 6 years old. How do you teach your son?
I try please sometimes, then I say, no, do it.